I'm Lloyd Mott. I graduated from SUNY Cortland in 1965. I was a physical education teacher.
Lloyd, why did you choose Cortland? When did you start? What year did you start?
In 1961, when I graduated from Cortland High School, I was looking at Springfield, Ithaca, and Cortland. Ithaca offered me a partial scholarship to play basketball, little guy like me. But I visited 3 campuses, and I was accepted at all 3. And when I came to Cortland, because if you were accepted, quite a battery test, and I still think we should do it today. But anyway, campus, and they gave you a name tag and said where you were from. Every kid on campus, every student already here, said, as you walk around campus, "Hey, where are you from?" And they all friendly. That immediately I said, "This is where I want to go to school." Just because I was impressed with the professors and everything else, but the way the kids on campus welcomed us, here we were high school seniors showing up on a college campus. We didn't know anything. And they made it so attractive. They were so friendly. That was my decision. I was just telling my son this yesterday as we were walking around campus.
Wow. So you mentioned some professors. Talk about some of your professors or staff who influenced you while you were here.
That's for so many. I'll tell you, some of the ones that just done. I was just talking to Mr. Tony, Bill Tony, who was my lacrosse coach when I played lacrosse and physiology exercise teacher. And I was telling him what a great influence he had on my life. I went to UMass on an assistantship the first year I left Cortland, and I was into physiology of exercise research, heavy duty. And that was because of Bill Tony. And when I finished my master's thesis at UMass, 3 doctorates on my committee said, "Now you're going to go on to get your doctorate in physiology of exercise, right?" And I said, "Well, that's goal number 2. Goal number 1 is I want to be a basketball coach." My whole life I wanted to be a basketball coach. And so I got my first job in a little school, Cortland, New York, and I was the varsity basketball coach. The superintendent, when he interviewed me, he didn't care if I could teach or anything else. He just wanted me to be the basketball coach. And so that's how I started. And it is funny, it's a very honest truth. I loved physiology of exercise. That's really what's led to me working with the National Sports Medicine Committee and those kinds of things. Bill Tomic was great. Dr. Pete Corey, I played basketball for Pete. He got me a job in athletic administration in his office. I learned an awful lot, just basic organization skills from Pete. I just thought he was a great man. My senior year, when I wasn't on the basketball team, he asked me to help Bob Wallace coach the team, because Bob was a great baseball coach, but he really picked up the freshman basketball team. So Dr. Corey said, "Lloyd, you'll know the zone offense, defense, presses, and all this stuff. But Coach Wallace will teach you a tremendous number of fundamentals." And he did. Bob Wallace taught me about practice organization. And I remember one theme I learned from Bob was, don't spend a lot of time on anything in practice, but break it up so you spend time on a lot of things in practice. So the 5-minute drills, the 10-minute drills, 15-minute drills. But over 2 hours, you'd cover a lot of things. You do it every day. And I learned that from Bob Wallace. Fran Woods was a great guy. Fran Woods was just, God bless him, he passed away a few years ago. Fran Woods was younger, was a professor when I came here, and we related so well with him. And he was our biomechanics teacher. And in those days, people used to say, biomechanics, why do you even take biomechanics? I think we had to meet 3 hours a week for half-hour credit. They did those tricks in those days. But I loved it. And today, if you talk to the top coaches and the top trainers of athletes, biomechanics is at the basis. So Fran Woods, Mr. Miller, Coach Miller's measurements program, that kind of added to my research interest. And there's just some Prof. Holloway, Chugger Davis. Those guys are characters. At over 50 years old, they could come in and teach gymnastics skills class, and they would handstand, head spring over the side horse, and they were 50, 60 years old. Half the kids in the class couldn't do it. So they were amazing. I've forgotten about a lot of people, but
Well, you talked a lot about how they all influenced you with what you chose. You were doing not exercise physiology, really. You ended up going another route. All those pieces, did you see where you were going based on what you learned?
It happened ironically. I was a teacher in Broad Alton, and our athletic administrator and director of physical education had the superintendent was the varsity basketball coach and didn't care if I could teach or not. Walked down the hall, he said, "Now you're the new athletic director and director of physical education, 20 years old." So I was, and then we started all league meetings, section 2 meetings, and that just piqued my interest in leadership and being involved with physical education and athletics. I think the one thing I probably learned from Cortland, one of the main things, is that physical education is the root. I mean, that's the foundation, the basis, and athletics is within the umbrella. And I think that's been one of my goals all these years in administration, is to keep that in perspective and to remind others.
You talked a lot about your lifelong lessons for you personally.
Personally, well, it's hard to separate it into professionally and personally, because I think the basics, the philosophies, and things that we learn here just have carried through my whole life and helped me professionally. I think personally, socially, those kinds of things. Some of my friends, some of the people right in the room next door, the C Club, they blow, and so many people have the social animal house. It's really a fraternity, and that's why I joined it, because of the fraternity. And I was disappointed, and I think they did better when that happened, because we had some professional things that we really tried to do. All the silly things.
What does it mean to you to be here this weekend for this event?
This is, I had a few honors, and been fortunate enough to be recognized for this, that, or the other thing, which is always nice. I've said my whole life there's an awful lot more important than being honored for whatever, family and health and friends. Those are the most important things in life. But to be honored by my colleagues is probably the top honor I've ever received. It makes me just feel humble, grateful. It's a real thrill.